The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song, he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash, with a silver hat about his head, and a bristling black mustache. He growls as he storms the country, a villain big and bold. And the trees all shake and quiver and quake as he robs them of their gold.
Oh, man, John Facenda kicking off the show today, bringing us back, way back into time. Week number 11 of the NFL 2018 season and week number 11 of GameFaceRadio. This is our 10th season of being here Sunday mornings, 9 o'clock Eastern, exclusively on 940 WINE, on Classic AM in New York and Connecticut. I am the Frattman. This is a 4-hour radio show crammed into 1 hour, as Jerry Foley from the Giant Insider and I do every Sunday. And on the phone with us, Jerry Foley from the Giant Insider. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, Jerry.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Happy Thanksgiving to you. And by the way, that clip of Facenda has to be, if not the best, second or third of anything they've put out in NFL films. That is incredible. Unfortunately, the autumn wind now is a laughingstock and tanking, but talk about the era, everything else, man. That is unbelievable. I still love that. Still gives you chills.
It does. It makes the hair on the back of the neck stand up. Yep. Brings you back.
Yep.
Hey, you can tweet us, by the way, at CBS GameFace, and the Giant Insider handle, Jerry Foley.
Oh, it's easy, at Giant Insider.
That's pretty easy.
That's right.
I just wanted to hear you say it.
There you go. Thanks, buddy.
1 o'clock today at MetLife Stadium. Here come the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with one more win than the New York Giants have. They also have in tow Jason Pierre-Paul. So
JPP. He's a little insulted that the Giants didn't have a parade down the Canyon of Heroes for him when he left.
Yeah, let's start our discussion out with that here for a moment, since JPP is a part of the Buccaneers defense. You got to give him kudos. He has a lot more sacks than anybody on the Giants do. That's for darn sure. But, I mean, take it easy, dude.
Yeah, in 2011, he looked like he was going to be the next great defensive player for the Giants, and to be honest, I think his work ethic stunk. He never really worked on his technique. He's just a gifted athlete. Then he had the fireworks incident where he blew off half his hand. The Giants tried to see him at the hospital. They even sent Jesse Armstead down to see him. He refused. The Giants signed him to a long-term deal, gave him a lot of money, and then he's mad they traded him. Give me a break, man.
Yeah, I mean, this guy made out pretty well, especially for somebody who blew off a bunch of his fingers.
Yeah, and in a fireworks accident, and I said at the time the Giants should dump him. I mean, when you do things like that on the side, off the field, and you basically hurt the player that you were, I would have just dumped him then. But kudos to the Giants for being loyal to him and signing him. But to have that attitude now after being traded is it's comical.
Well, here's what I remember. I remember him blowing his fingers off, of course, coming back about midway through the season with a big club on his hand, playing okay, and then the following season, McAdoo's first year as head coach, the Giants went to the playoffs, and he looked really good. But then his final season, he digressed.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
He was never the hardest worker. And then he was one of the guys laughing in the background when Manning was basically, pouring his guts out in front of his locker. So
that's right.
You're not Lawrence Taylor, JPP. You're not Harry Carson. You're not even Michael Strahan. So, goodbye.
I mean, I do have a little bit of a warm place in my heart for him because he was a big part of a Super Bowl championship back in 2011. But you know what?
Well, you also do because he blocked that field goal in Dallas. Don't lie.
Yeah, exactly. No doubt. But grow up, man. All right? You're in a new chapter. You're back in your home state.
Yep.
You know, you should be happy that you're on a team that has one more win than the team that you left.
Yeah, and I mean, Mara either called or texted him, like, what else do you want? What did you want us to retire your jersey?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Some of these guys, man, just, I don't know.
And again, they stuck with you after such a stupid accident.
Yeah. Wouldn't let anybody in the hospital, come on.
And they sent Jesse Armstead down. It felt like they sent, the fourth-string trainer.
Unbelievable.
Oh, well.
So, listen, I got a bone to pick with the defensive coordinator of the New York Giants.
Yeah.
And I have a bone to pick with the offensive coordinator of the New York Giants, who happens to be the head coach, really, for all intents and purposes, even though Mr. Shula is really in title, the OC.
Right.
But I'll wait to do that. Even though the Giants won, I'll wait to do that until the third segment. Here's what I wanted to ask you. Of course, they beat the 49ers on Monday night, 27-23. Mm-hmm. They played in a stadium out there in San Francisco that is, just 4 years old, I think? 4 years old?
Yeah.
Why does the field suck?
I don't know.
What is going on with the NFL and I mean, this is a brand new stadium, and your football field is a piece of crap?
I don't know if it has to do, and I'm not a weatherman, I'm not a geologist, but I don't know if it has to do with, the temperatures in San Francisco, because Candlestick Park always had a problem with that as well. Now, I know that the baseball Giants also played there, but I don't know why that's the case, man. It didn't make any sense, and I think Barkley had to change his cleats as soon as the game started because 3 times he fell down in the backfield.
Man.
So I don't know. I have no idea.
You just look at the field and you're like, this is a brand new stadium? Really?
Yeah, and then the air quality wasn't good Monday night either. You saw people with masks on.
Well, I probably would have worn one myself.
That's crazy. I know it's hard to move a professional football game, but for a league that talks about caring for the players and fans, when you saw half the stadium wearing, or not half, maybe 10 to 20% of the stadium wearing masks, I just thought that was such a bad look.
Oh, man, there's so many things that are bad looks these days, I'll tell you. All right, so we're going to change the subject again here now. Lots of things to cover in just 1 hour. That's why this is GameFaceRadio. The Jaguars are sitting at 3-6, and I remember when they were 2-0 this year, or 3-1, somewhere in that range where they were looking pretty good. And now they've lost, 4 or 5 games in a row? I remember at that point, everybody was saying, see, shouldn't have let Tom Coughlin go. And I'm thinking, first off, Tom Coughlin's not the coach in Jacksonville. What the heck are you talking about?
Right.
Secondly, it was time for the New York Giants and Tom Coughlin to part ways. What does that have to do with the Jacksonville Jaguars? Okay, but how come I don't hear anybody bringing up those correlations now at 3-6 for Jacksonville?
Well, yeah, Coughlin has, I guess, I don't know if you'd call it job security immunity. Because whenever Jacksonville does well, it's because of the job that Tom Coughlin's doing. But when they start to stink, they blame Doug Marrone. So it's lovely to be Tom Coughlin. He never got any of the blame in New York when I thought he was, towards the end, I thought he was a terrible head coach. I thought he couldn't handle Beckham.
I agree.
I didn't like the coordinators he had. I thought he was too loyal to them. There were a lot of flaws with Tom Coughlin.
Yes.
And for everyone to just gloss over everything he did wrong for everything he did right is stupid.
Stupid indeed. Stupid is as stupid does.
And who's starting at left tackle for the Jaguars today?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, what is he going to all of a sudden make him into Tony Baselli?
Well, I guess they're going to try.
Well, we'll see.
Bonehead Football Media Matters coming up in our next segment, the G-Men. Jerry Foley and I will dig through the G-Men in detail in the third segment. The Fennelly fracas coming up today as well. John Fennelly who covers the New York Giants for a multitude of sources. And, of course, in-your-face matchups to close out the show today. Let's do one more subject, Jerry, before we go into NFL Haps. Coaches. A lot of coaches, it looks like, will not be coaching the team they currently are next season. Possibly, I'm guessing about 8, but if you're listening to the NFL media, which is clueless about a lot of things, of course, you could be looking at 10 new coaches next season. I'm hearing rumors from the media that Matt Patricia may be in danger over in Detroit, but I'm thinking, no way, not after just 1 year.
That's going to be very hard after 1 year to just bail on him. I don't think they would unless something happened embarrassing off the field. But what's interesting with these coaches that are going to be gone, it's Todd Bowles, right? He's definitely going to be one. But when you draft a quarterback in the top 5, it seems like if you already have a coach in play, that job is very tenuous because if it doesn't work with that quarterback, they'll come in, they'll fire you and bring in an offensive coordinator or a young offensive guru to work with that quarterback. We saw it with the Rams. You saw it with look at how many times the Titans have turned over their coaches with Mariota. Wentz and Peterson came in together, so that's a different example, kind of like Coughlin and Eli when they came in.
Right.
The Bears, right? They drafted Trubisky, they fired Fox, and they got Gase now. So it doesn't surprise me. And Baker Mayfield, right? They fired Hugh Jackson. So when you draft a quarterback in the top 3 or 4 or 5, it's almost like you may as well just bring in your offensive head coach now, because if it doesn't work, that job, you're going to lose your job.
You mentioned Gase with Chicago. It's actually Matt Nagy.
I'm sorry, Nagy. Yeah, I mixed up. Gase is with Miami. Sorry about that. He came from Chicago. Sorry about that.
The other rumor I'm hearing is Pete Carroll may be leaving Seattle after this season, but I don't see that happening either.
Yeah, I don't know. Is he still suspended from college football forever? I don't know. So, I mean, I don't know where he can go. And he's a coach. I guess he gets his players to play for him. I don't understand how he's successful.
All right. Well, we've got a short amount of time, so we can't go into detail with every one of these teams, but here's the rest of the list.
Yeah.
Dallas might be looking for a new head coach. The Jets, of course.
Yeah.
The Packers. The Baltimore Ravens. The Bengals. The Cleveland Browns. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Denver Broncos. That's a big turnover list there, man.
Yeah, I think the Packers. I think the Bengals. I think they're at the top of the list. I hope Dallas isn't, but I think they are. And forgive me for talking so much today because I'm shortening these segments. But I hope Dallas stays with Jason Garrett and Dak Prescott for the next decade.
Yeah, I agree with you. You can't talk too much on this show, Jerry Foley. Yeah.
But Mike McCarthy, I mean, he's going to have to go soon. He's turning into their version of Ben McAdoo right now.
I couldn't agree more. Because
he has Aaron Rodgers, and it's not working.
Yeah, and if I were them, I wouldn't think about having Ben McAdoo come in for an interview either.
Right, and it's funny that Packer coaching staff, or their scheme rather, it works really well when you go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. You can almost call any play and it'll work.
Oh yeah, GameFaceRadio NFL Haps, and a shout out to our friends at Green Bubbles Car Spa, located at Four Corners, right here in Brookfield, Danbury, behind the mobile gas station. Joe Flacco, it looks like, will not be playing quarterback for the Ravens today. He is injured. Rookie Lamar Jackson may be splitting time with RG3 for this game. It'll be interesting to see how that one pans out.
I just saw today that he might be starting, so I thought he was going to split time as well. I just saw on Twitter that he may be starting that game.
And we have rumors, speaking of head coaches, Gary Kubiak, former Broncos coach, may decide to return to the sidelines at some point. He was having health issues, so I would be surprised to see him back.
Yeah, me too. Especially when you've won the big game, right? What's the point now?
Yeah, exactly. And of course, you and I brought this up a few moments ago. There is a lot of talk in the Northeast that Todd Bowles will be finishing out the year with the Jets, but then that will be it for him.
That's a shame because I like him as a defensive coordinator. I think he's a good guy.
Yeah.
But he's not the coach to bring in a young quarterback like that. I just don't. I don't see. And real quick, someone on the inside actually knows the goings-on of the Jets, and they are run. It's like a frat house there. There's no discipline at all. So.
Well, that's why they have 12 penalties every week.
Yep.
Yeah. G-Men coming up in about 20 minutes. The Boneheads in the NFL media are coming up in about 2 minutes. as we make our way out of our first segment with a great one here from Soundgarden. Oh, yeah. Crank it up. We'll be back in mere moments.
Cheers.
The only sports show that rags on other sports shows. Game Face with the Frattman. Hit it. This is Sports Radio 940 WINE.
So why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
GameFaceRadio, CBS Sports Radio, Sunday mornings, 9 o'clock Eastern for 1 hour. Oh, I love it, man. Keith Richards solo. Shout out to Keith Richards. And he lives right next door here in Ridgefield, Connecticut. And we heard he listens to Game Face on Sunday mornings because he likes the music. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Keith. Stone's going on tour again this year in 2019, man. I'm looking forward to that. It's time for Bonehead Football Media Matters. Jerry Foley, we're going to spend... I actually don't have a lot of material for this segment today, believe it or not, because I'm usually loaded up to the point where I have too much. Yeah. But I have enough to cover the segment because I have enough just of one subject, a subject you and I, for whatever reason, it's not on purpose. I just bring up in this segment whatever I hear or see or read during the week from the boneheads who cover the NFL locally and nationally. Yeah. And it just so happens we've had enough material for this particular radio station I think we've brought them up every single Sunday, at least for a month now. And we're talking about WFAN in New York City, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, Tuesday morning was it was almost a funeral-like atmosphere on the Boomer and Gio show because the Giants won and the Jets they're talking about the Jets changing head coaches. But, fans were calling in talking about Eli Manning, and they were almost disgusted by it.
Yes. You mean the fans were?
No, Boomer and Gio disgusted about talking about Eli.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the fans like me disgusted about hearing all these Eli Manning topics.
Yeah, absolutely. But I meant what Gio actually said, I'm tired of talking about Eli. I'm sick of it. And you know what? That's what I mean, man. The fact that show is the show in New York is a disgrace to Giant fans. It really is.
No doubt. Yeah. But they're also so hokey. They sound like 1977. They really do. And now I hear this guy, I think I brought this up last week or the week before. They now got this guy working the night shift, like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., and he sounds just like a stripper DJ, everybody. All right, it's Desiree coming up on the main stage.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't get over, what I can't get over is again, I know it's a Jets-Mets station, but until Francesa comes on, I mean, no one gives the Giants any love on that station. And I don't love Francesa, but at least he talks about them.
Yeah, he's crazy as well. But, yeah, he talks, and he backs. Look, everybody can say whatever they want about Eli now. I still believe in Eli. Yeah. And I know Francesa does as well, and so I got to give him kudos for that. But let's talk for a moment here about Evan and Joe.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, these guys, and you can't help but laugh at how cheesy everything is. That intro song that they play to start their show off, Evan and Joe, Joe and Evan, Evan and Joe, Joe and Evan. Is that a pretty good... That's a pretty good imitation of that intro music, huh?
Sounds a lot like it.
Yeah. On your dial, by the way, Jerry. On your dial.
Yeah, because nothing's digital now. It's all dials.
Who still has a dial on their radio?
What's amazing to me is Evan will bring up, and Chris from the Giant Insider brought this up as well, actually pointed it out. Evan will bring up facts to Joe, and Joe will say, "Oh, is that right? Oh, is that true? Oh, is he injured? Oh, is he not playing?" And it's almost like, dude, does this guy watch sports? And I didn't notice it until Chris brought it up, our beat writer. And he's like, you got to listen to Joe and Evan because Evan brings stuff up for Joe, and Joe doesn't know what the hell's going on. And I listened, I'm like, oh, my God, he's right.
Oh, and the other thing is that laugh of his. Beningo's laugh. He sounds like Ricky Ricardo. Do you remember Ricky Ricardo's laugh?
Do.
Yeah, I know that was before your time, but
no, but I wore a white jacket on my wedding day, and my wife said, "Oh, you look like Ricky Ricardo."
Yeah, here's Ricky Ricardo and Joe Beningo's laugh.
Yeah, right. That's right. It's similar.
Oh, I'm telling you, man. If somebody first of all. That radio station is so backwards as far as their programming is concerned. You put an all NFL 24/7 radio station in New York City, and they kick WFAN's ass in the ratings.
You would think, yeah. I mean, I just think people are just used to listening, so they just have it on all the time. It's just almost like a habit.
And Beningo's like, oh, Todd Bowles should be fired today after they got their asses kicked by the Bills last week, which was quite embarrassing. You're fired today. I'm sorry. That's not going to happen. You know it's not going to happen. Why are you even talking about it? And, of course, the day after the Giants beat the 49ers, you tune in at the top of Evan and Joe's show, and the first discussion is the New York Jets.
Right.
What a surprise, huh?
Well, they're both diehard Jets fans, right?
Of course.
I mean, I would think on the show you would have to have one of each to make it really work. But, they don't. They just have all Jets fans until Francesca comes on. So, I mean, Boomer and Gio clearly root for the Jets. But Beningo and Roberts do. Then you have that clown show from 1 to 3 where you have Bart Scott, who's obviously rooting for the Jets. Carlin, I don't know what he does. And Maggie Gray is a Bills fan who hates the Giants.
Yeah.
They all hate the Giants.
Here's a Beningo quote from earlier in the week. Oh, the Titans beat the Pats over there, okay? And they did it in Tennessee, no less. Excuse me. What do you mean, no less? The Titans beat the Patriots in Tennessee, no less?
Yeah.
It was a home freaking game for the Titans. What are you talking about, no less?
And what were we saying, right? That the Patriots only play anyone that's elite at home, but they lost to the Titans, which I think we both picked last week. So for him to say that doesn't make any sense.
Evan, here's a great comment from Evan. You ready?
Yep.
The good news for the Jets, if they fire Bowles, is that Terrell Austin is now available. Meanwhile, Terrell Austin was just fired by the Bengals because they were the first team in NFL history to give up 500-plus yards in 3 straight games. He was an abomination as a DC in Cincinnati, just got fired, so that's good news for the Jets if they want to go after him.
Yeah, right. Again, makes no sense. I don't know why they even say it.
This is classic, man.
Yep.
Oh, my God. All right. It is GameFaceRadio, CBS Sports Radio, Foley and The Frattman. Here Sunday mornings, 9 o'clock Eastern. We do have a Facebook page, by the way, facebook.com/GameFaceRadio. Would be very cool if you could go up there and like us. We have the G-Men in detail coming up in our next segment. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes here talking about this because I just think it's so incredibly over the top. I actually don't know how to I don't know how to start this conversation off because my brain is going in a million different directions with this subject matter. Okay, but let's start like this. Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, and Eli Manning. What do they all have in common? Age.
Oh, yeah. So I was going to say first-round picks, but Brees was taken in the second. Sorry.
Yeah, no, age. They're all like at that point where it's any day now, right? Okay. There is zero debate about the other quarterbacks who I just mentioned, but all kinds of debate about Eli Manning. He should go. He should retire. He's not good enough to be in the Hall of Fame. And these conversations are incessant in New York, nationally as well, but especially here in New York. I don't hear either one of those two conversations about any of those other quarterbacks, and I'm here to tell you why. Number one, they just disrespect Eli, always have, even here in New York. Number two, those other quarterbacks have pretty darn good offensive lines in front of them. Eli has not. Right. And that's why Eli has taken the brunt. Now, I know you and I know John Fennelly disagree with me. I don't think Eli is finished. I think if Eli had an offensive line in front of him like these other quarterbacks I just mentioned, who are the same age as him, that he would be playing as good as they are. And you're not hearing anything negative about those other quarterbacks. And I want to list here a couple of things regarding Eli. And by the way, after that last-minute drive against San Francisco, taking the team down the field again like he's done many times, all I heard from the hypocrites in the sports media was, and the sports media, and everybody's been on him and on. Yeah, including you. All these people that I've heard screaming and hollering and yelling about how much he sucks, and then after he takes the team down the field the other night against San Fran, everybody's been on him. And instead of saying everybody, including myself, has been on him, no, they're not doing that. Let's list Eli's accomplishments here so we could put this Hall of Fame discussion to an end. Yeah. Super Bowl 42, that game alone. And then, of course, the NFC Championship game against Green Bay, and the game everybody said Tony Romo was going to be so much better than Eli, the playoffs in Dallas. That alone, he's in the Hall of Fame. But then he had Super Bowl 46, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, the throw to Tyree. That was a lucky throw. Yeah, well, how about escaping the rush to be able to throw that ball? That's a 2-part play, idiots. The Manningham throw, the San Francisco NFC Championship game, all the road playoff victories, all of the last-minute drives like 40, taking his team down the field like he did in 2 Super Bowls. One of only 3 quarterbacks to throw 2 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter. He did that in Super Bowl 42. Health and availability, being there for every single freaking game. 15 years with the same team. I rest my freaking case.
Yeah, I would say the throw alone to Manningham was one of the best throws I've ever seen anybody make in my life. And
yes,
I've watched enough football to say that.
Yes, sir.
I mean, he put the ball 46 yards down the field or so between the corner and safety. I've never seen a better throw in my life. What I couldn't get over Monday night, and Francesa pointed this out to his credit, was how Booger McFarland was arguing against Manning. I've never seen people come out so adamantly against a player for Hall of Fame consideration.
Can you believe it? Everywhere, even in New York, Jerry.
I thought it was disgraceful. The NFL announcing teams do enough to make you put on Papa and Banks every week. But if that game didn't do it, I don't know which one would. Because between arguing back and forth with McFarland, it's like, guys, this is a 3-point game. Can you shut the hell up and get back to the game?
Yeah, please.
It wasn't like it was 40-0.
Unbelievable.
It was, and I don't understand the obsession people have with Manning. Look, he's going to get in the Hall of Fame, guys. I don't know if he's going to be a first ballot or not. But to your point real quick, I just want to defend my stance on Manning a little.
Yeah.
I think where I say I think he's done for the most part is because of the beating he's taken the last couple of years.
Well, that's a good point.
And I don't think he would have been done necessarily already. I just think based on that, when the rush comes, he falls down. Now, look, Monday night he looked good. I was happy. And I don't care who you are as a Giants fan. If you're rooting for them to lose, you were happy that Manning looked that good the other night and did what he did. But like the throw to Beckham where he was open down the field and he didn't hit him, those are the throws he's not making anymore. And I think it's because, I don't know, I think his arm's fine. I just think there's a mental thing with him now where he's got a mental clock about when the rush is coming. But look, man, I hope to be proven wrong on Manning going forward. But you're right. The offensive line is what's done him in. But I think he could have been the player that Phillip Rivers is now, that Breeze Roethlisberger is, if he hadn't gone through so much getting hit over the last couple of years.
Yeah. So. No, I have to agree with that. Yeah. And I think it's possible for him to if the offensive line, they played pretty well the other night against San Fran. If they continue to get better, I believe that Eli Manning is some of that, the footsteps he's hearing, I think that's going to dissipate as every week goes by.
And real quick, someone else I have to eat a little crow is OBJ. I mean, when the media asks him about this week, he's like, yeah, we're going to try to win 8 straight games and go to the playoffs. I don't know. I want to hear that. I like hearing that.
Yes.
Yeah, like why fans? The media shouldn't get on him for that.
I agree.
This is the stuff you like about him. This is the player you want him to be. So, I don't know, man. I like where he's going. I'm hopeful that Manning can kind of play more like he did the other night, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, I got some stuff to talk about as far as that goes. In the next segment, we'll be talking G-Men. And to wrap up Bonehead Football Media Matters for today, the New York sports media, clueless as they are, continuing to get their facts wrong. The New York Post just the other day, Philadelphia falls short to Dallas as the Eagles fall to 4-4. Sorry, they went below 500 when they lost to the Cowboys last Sunday night, freaking boneheads.
Right. Bonehead NFL Media Matters.
Oh, man. Jerry Foley from the Giant Insider is here. And the Frattman back to talk G-Men in a moment.
Hey, give me no choice. I entertain by the silence that you created by noise.
Raking in the big bucks to talk about their favorite sport on Sunday mornings? Frattman. You could do this for free.
Greedy SOB.
Well, it goes like this, Steve. You know, when you take your songs, man, and you give them all the love and the attention, you grow them like children, like flowers in the basement, man. And you don't create with any kind of a time frame, you know. And you make these songs as beautiful and as perfect as you can, as right as you can. And when you take those songs up out of the basement, up the stairs, into the light of day, it's time to pimp that sucker, man. I'm talking sell it, baby. Yeah. Come on, where are you going? I got a T-shirt just your size. Yeah, come in.
David Lee Roth on GameFaceRadio. As we open up this segment with Van Halen from the Fair Warning album, this is GameFaceRadio. CBS Sports Radio, 940 WINE on Classic AM. All over the globe on 940sportsradio.com. Jerry Foley from the Giant Insider is our co-host, and it is time to talk G-Men. 1 o'clock today at MetLife Stadium. Here come the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 3-6. So they have a 1-game lead on the New York Giants in the NFC. Not that it matters, but... All right, Jerry Foley, give us your initial impressions of what we're going to see here today with the Giants-Buccaneers game.
I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. I know the Giants don't score a lot of points normally, but that secondary defense, that Tampa secondary is depleted, and the Tampa offense is loaded against our porous defense, who can't get to the quarterback. So I think it's going to be a higher scoring affair. I think the Giant offensive line the other night actually showed some ability to gel. I think Jamon Brown is such a huge upgrade over what was there before over John Greco.
Looks that way, huh?
And finally they found the right guard who can play over Patrick Omameh. So I think, based on what I saw the other night and the ability of the Tampa offense to move the ball, now they have trouble scoring, believe it or not. They lost 16-3 to the Redskins, a couple weeks ago, and where they had like 500 yards of offense.
Yeah, what the heck is that? That was last week.
Oh, yeah. Last week, yeah. So yeah. I'm telling you, man, I think it's going to be two teams moving the ball all day, and it wouldn't surprise me to see like a 34-31 game.
I think you might see two teams moving the ball up and down the field, but then when both of them get inside the red zone...
Yeah, maybe. That could be the case, especially since the Giants tend to go shotgun inside the 10-yard line, which doesn't make any sense to me.
All right, so here's what I've been hearing all week and reading. The offense, the Giants' offense, going to have no problem with the Tampa Bay defense. The defense is very low rated. They're going to score they're going to break that 30 mark for the second time in the last 2.5 years. Every time that I hear that the Giants' offense is going to break out against a crappy defense, I get very concerned. And it never happens. I remember hearing this year, last year, the year before, they're going up against Dallas's poorest defense. It should be an easy day for that Giants offense. And then they score 9 points. And I heard the same thing earlier this year with another team that supposedly had a bad defense. Can't remember who it is now. But the Giants were supposed to just be able to move the ball up and down the field and score a lot of points. Oh, it was Atlanta's defense, who had 5 starters out. What did the Giants score that day? I think it was 10. So here we go again. And I think Pat Shurmur's play calling, quite frankly, is vanilla.
Yeah, it's vanilla. It is. And the reason I give him a little bit of a pass is because of how much the roster was turned over. But he should be more creative, especially when he gets inside the 10.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they're not doing play action more, why they're not trying more fade routes. And I know OBJ is not a tall receiver, but he seems to come down with everything when you most balls when you throw it to him. I don't know, man. Evan Ingram doesn't seem to be utilized that way. The play calling is strange, and I don't like how he goes to the half a lot of times with timeouts to spare. It doesn't make any sense. But I hear what you're saying, but eventually this has to happen, I think. I just think the skill positions on this team are too good. And with the improved offensive line, even though it's one game, they put up 27 against the 49ers. They haven't played well at home, and it seems forever. So I think this could be the week, but hey, I've been wrong several times with this team. But
well, it would be nice because they are playing at home, and they haven't won a game at home yet this year.
But I will say the past few weeks I've been right almost every week this year. I thought they were going to beat the 49ers Monday night, and I was right. And but you know, it is what it is. I've been wrong a lot, but I have a feeling this is the week that this finally happens for them.
Yeah.
And if Manning gets time, that'll be the case. It's going to be, can they keep the front 7 off of Manning?
That's right. I don't remember you being wrong a lot, though. Why do you say that?
No. I'm just no. I guess. Well, kind of to your point, there have been times where I thought the offense would break out, and they haven't. So in that case, I was wrong.
Yeah.
But I would say as far as picking wins and losses for this team now, it's not that hard when you're picking to lose every week.
Yeah, that's right.
But no, I thought they would have broken out before. The Dallas game is a prime example where the offense looks like a great matchup against the Dallas defense, and then they did absolutely nothing. So you're right. A lot of people have predicted this, and I was one of them. But I do think this week, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I think this is the week where we get in the end zone and make our fans happy at home.
Well, certainly the offensive line played better against San Francisco than they have in quite a while.
And I should say real quick, in the passing game, in the running game, they were terrible.
Right. And now you just read my mind because that's what I was going to bring up. So they protected Eli a lot better than Eli has been protected this year, and a lot of that, I think, has to do with Jamin Brown. They have given up the 3rd most sacks in the NFL, but that was before the San Francisco game. They only gave up 1 sack against the 49ers. Mm-hmm. But I read a piece yesterday about Saquon Barkley, and do you know that taking away, 7 or 8 massive runs where he had 40, 50, 60 yards, whatever it was, all of the other runs by Saquon Barkley, he's averaging 1.9 yards per carry.
Yeah, the offensive line is not opening up holes for him. He's creating on his own. Now, Fenley pointed out in his article this week that he is bouncing a little bit too much to the outside, and I agree with him, but I think that's happening because there's nothing up the middle.
Well, that plus he's a rookie. He's still kind of feeling his way out.
Yeah, he's going to get better at it, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think Fenley's right. I think sometimes Saquon should just go where the play is designed and then deal with maybe getting 2 or 3 yards rather than -1 because he's trying to bounce it to the outside. But he will improve there. He's been everything the Giants have wanted and more, I think. It's not his fault that the Giants can't run a screen pass. I mean, I joke that the screen game for the Giants is they throw it to Barkley and say, good luck, kid, because there's no blocker set up for him. It's just hopefully he can dodge 11 guys and get to the end zone.
GameFaceRadio, CBS Sports Radio, Jerry Foley from the Giant Insider, and yours truly, the Frattman, here on Sunday mornings, 9 o'clock Eastern. We have an app, by the way, you can download onto your phone. It's WINE, CBS Sports Radio, whatever the heck. Where do you go? And I still don't understand all that stuff. So,
you're such a Gen Xer.
I know, right?
Yeah, you go to Google Play or iTunes, and you just go to 940 Sports, WINE, and hit download, and you have the apps. You can listen live.
We're talking G-Men here on Game Face Radio. There was a lot of talk after the win about how desperate the Giants were to feel this way, to feel a victory like this for that long ride home from California. It can't be understated how important that is for your locker room, for your team, for the building, and even to a large extent for the fans. I mean, I feel a lot better when the Giants win than I do when they lose. I don't care what their record is. But there's been discussion about how much of a trade-off is that feel-good in comparison to losing the higher draft pick. So the more you win, you finish 6-10, and you're picking 8th instead of finishing 3-13 and picking 2nd.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot there's a lot of conversation on Twitter about that, and I just answered somebody this morning, actually. It's funny. Until the Giants are mathematically eliminated, I will always root for them to win. And I also think I never root for the Giants to lose. I mean, I guess there's a feeling of ambivalence once you're out mathematically of almost like, well, I don't care what happens. If they win, great. If they lose, great. I could care less. But I think fans get caught up too much in draft picks and where people are going to fall. We have no idea where Justin Herbert's going to fall. If that's the guy you want, he may go number 1, he may go number 5. Who knows? The Giants need so much. They need a pass rusher, a corner, a free safety, at least 2 offensive linemen, a quarterback, a linebacker. Like, guys, we need a ton. Whether we're picking 1st or 6th or 10th, we're going to get more players. So, I don't know, man. I just think you root for them to win and then let the chips fall where they may in the draft. And if you want someone bad enough, you do what Ernie Accorsi did and you trade up and get them.
Yeah, and I think anybody on the team right now would echo exactly what you just said.
I mean, how can you see after the game Sterling Shepard and Eli Manning celebrating off the field and not root for that team to win?
Exactly.
The way they were acting together when Manning came up behind Shepard, grabbed him, and Shepard goes, that's my boy, and they run off together into the locker room. Like, that's awesome. That's what you want.
Yes, exactly.
And again, and then I love in the locker room that Odell saying, our goal is to win 8 straight. Let's go. All right, good. That's how it should be.
That's right. And he's been a model citizen over the last 5-6 weeks.
Yeah, after the Eagle game.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, I got a bone to pick with. There's a guy on the Giants right now that I am more agitated with than anybody else. Can you guess who it is?
Nate Stupar.
Oh, all right, I'll put him second.
All right. Alex Ogletree.
No. Alec Ogletree, actually, he's 2B.
Landon Collins.
No, 2C.
All right, go ahead.
James Betcher.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking players. I'm sorry.
This defense is getting the 49ers carved them up, and they are horrible in an area where they were supposed to be strong this year, and that is against the run. Did you see them get torched against the run all night in San Francisco like I did? Yes, and the bigger bone I have to pick with him is putting Landon Collins in single coverage on Kittle. Yeah, because, and he hasn't looked good. And why is Curtis Riley still starting? Can we please play Michael Thomas at safety? I know they like Thomas in that nickel role, the big corner spot or whatever he's playing, but Curtis Riley takes the worst angles of anyone I've ever seen in my life. Like, he's becoming C.C. Brown now. Yeah. The Giant fans. Yeah. Betcher's done weird things, man. I don't get it either, and I agree with you. Like, I don't know why he's doing the things he's doing with this defense. And they stink as far as getting sacks are concerned. What do they have, 10 sacks so far this year? They're not blitzing, so, I mean, what's the point in rushing 3 or 4? Then they're not getting there, and the people are still open anyway. What the hell difference does it make? Might as well just go for broken blitz now and then. Now, you're right. Ogletree, I think, has looked horrible. He looks like he's way overpaid. Landon Collins has not looked good, but I'll tell you what, let's give some applause to Lorenzo Carter. Oh, yeah, he's got to play more. I don't understand why he's not playing more. Just put him on the field, let him learn. This isn't the quarterback position where you can ruin a guy. You play him, he gets quarterback pressures, he's active, which is something we point out all the time. He's a very active player, sideline to sideline, rangy.
Makes no sense to sit him.
I tell you, man, I watched that San Francisco offense with a third-string quarterback against this James Betcher defense, and I'm grinding my teeth through the whole game, man.
Yeah, he wasn't sending anyone either. I didn't understand it at all, what the scheme was. At this rate, why didn't we just keep Spagnuolo?
Yeah. I mean, look, the quarterback, what's his name, Mullins? Yeah, he looks pretty darn good, man. He looks like he may have a future in the NFL, but he's played a total of 3 games or 2 games. How are you not sending the house after this guy?
And the one, I guess, if you want to point out anything, like you said, Carter and B.J. Goodson had a good game. He did. He had 2 interceptions. I said, what were the Vegas odds? And what were the Vegas odds that B.J. Goodson would have 2 picks? I said it has to be like 10,000 to 1. But he had one off of a deflection. He's pretty active. Like I haven't given up on B.J. Goodson yet, but you're right, man. Ogletree looks overpaid. He's got to rebound today, man, because Giant fans are zeroing in on him now.
1 o'clock, Tampa, MetLife Stadium, the Fenley Fracas.
I'm John Fenley, and this is the Fenley Fracas. The New York Giants' pass rush is non-existent this season. They have 10 total sacks as a team. That's a disgrace. They are led by 2 rookies, third-round picks B.J. Hill and Lorenzo Carter, who have a whopping 2 sacks each. Meanwhile, the $85 million man, Olivier Vernon, has just 1 sack in the 4 games he's played. Defensive coordinator James Betcher said at the beginning of the season that his defense was predicated on pressure. Well, through 9 games, the only pressure they're providing right now is on their own secondary. This has been the Fenley Fracas on GameFaceRadio and CBS Sports Radio.
To the Frattman, let's go.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Holiday Inn Express wants to let you in on a little secret. You can now get at least 20% off at holidayinexpress.com during our annual sale early access. We'll even throw in free breakfast. Just kidding. Breakfast is always included in your stay at Holiday Inn Express. Book now and save at holidayinexpress.com. Terms apply.
How did they come up with the shape of a football? Did you ever wonder that? I can't be the only one who has. What about those weirdos on GameFace? This is Sports Radio 940 WINE.
We are honored to have you on the show, Mr. Saragusa. We are big fans.
Listen, I'm hoping to boost the ratings, baby. You know what I'm saying?
That's what it's all about.
That's it. That's all they care about, these little bean counters sitting in the corner somewhere. You know? I know how it is. The world's being run by little bean counters. You got a suit and tie on, the whole deal, right?
Game Face Radio, CBS Sports Radio, 940 WINE. And all across the planet, 940sportsradio.com. The Frattman and Jerry Foley from the Giant Insider. Time for in-your-face matchups. What we think are the 3 best matchups of the day. Of course, the G-Men against the Buccaneers. That's a 1 o'clock kickoff at MetLife Stadium. That does not classify because of their records as one of our in-your-face matchups. But Pittsburgh at Jacksonville does. 1 o'clock in Jacksonville. You got to go with the Steelers on this one, Jerry Foley. But I'll tell you what. If the Jaguars lose this game, it's over for them, man. Their season is done.
Who's lining up at right end for the Steelers? That guy's going to have 12 sacks today. Steelers are going to murder Jacksonville today. So you're talking about Eric Flowers, of course. Got it. Yeah, but I also heard that they re-signed Omamaha. Yeah. Again, Coughlin, that awesome judge of talent that he is.
He came from Jacksonville, didn't he, originally?
Well, that's right.
Yeah. That's right. Oh, boy, they're having offensive line problems, and they're having defensive problems.
Not his fault, though. It's Marone's fault.
Yes, of course. Here's another talk about putting a stake in the heart. Philly at New Orleans today, 1 o'clock. If the Eagles lose that game, I don't know, man. That's going to be a huge mountain to climb for the former Super Bowl champs to make it to the playoffs this year. There's no bigger Drew Brees fan than me today. I think the Saints win by
I think with that Eagles secondary, the Eagle defense may keep them in at like the front seven, but that Eagles secondary is so depleted. They lost Ronald Darby to an ACL injury. I think the Saints win by 20 today.
Now, I think this is the most interesting team in the NFL right now. Not because of things that they're doing on the field, although what they're doing on the field has brought them to this point.
Yeah.
But the Giants win in Houston in the third week of the season. They dropped the Texans to 0-3.
Yeah.
And now they're 6-3. They have won 6 games in a row.
Yep.
I love AFC versus NFC matchups. Both teams are in first place. 1 o'clock kickoff. The Texans in Washington to play the Redskins.
Yeah, I'm going with the Texans. I'm not a believer in Washington yet. I think this division is going to be up for grabs till week 17. I agree with you, man. The resiliency that the Texans have shown has been great. They're an interesting team. But I'm going to go with Houston, man. I think they're going to take Washington today.
I think the Redskins win this game.
All right.
I really do.
Yep.
So there's in-your-face matchups here exclusively on GameFaceRadio. This is a 4-hour show that Jerry Foley and I somehow, every Sunday, we cram 4 hours into 1 hour. We just did it again, Foley.
I think I talked about 4 hours worth today. I know I spoke too long, buddy. I'm sorry.
Well, we usually do talk 4 hours each. So really an 8-hour show crammed into 1 hour.
That's right.
And we can't finish the show without doing our Joe Beningo, Ricky Ricardo imitation once again. You ready?
Go for it. By the way, I think the Fennelly Fracas has been a great addition. And I'll say,
no doubt,
John Fennelly sounds like every uncle to a Giants fan. Like, and I say that in a complimentary way.
Absolutely.
Like I would be all excited about talking about the Giants, and this is why this guy's good, and he just kind of keeps it real for you. Like, this guy stinks. This guy has a problem. We need to improve here. So I think it's hilarious. I love it.
Well, and the timing of this morning's fracas was perfect because here I was bitching and moaning about James Betcher and the Giants defense, and boom, in comes Fennelly with the fracas, focusing in on the ridiculousness of that New York Giants defense right now.
Yeah, and he's right. He's 100% right. Like, Olivier Vernon is becoming extinct, and I was a big fan of his. I wanted him to do well, but he's not doing anything, so.
I do see him putting a little bit of pressure on more than anybody else. But what happened to B.J. Hill, man? He just disappeared here.
Yeah, rookie wall, defensive lineman. That's tough to keep going the way he is. I don't know. I'm just crediting that to the rookie wall that these guys sometimes hit.
Well, that's a good point, yeah. So hopefully he'll break out of that before the season ends because I'm telling you, that defensive lineman looks like a stud to be, man. He really does.
Yeah, and they just need another end who can rush the passer next year.
Yep, that's right. All right, G-Men against JPP and the Buccaneers. 1 o'clock today. There's another head coach who's probably on his way out, Coder. They're in Tampa Bay, so hopefully the Giants will give the Buccaneers another reason to ice that guy.
And they're going to be looking for a quarterback, too.
That's right. All right, Jerry Foley, thank you, buddy.
All right, man.
GameFaceRadio out.